They say the city never truly sleeps. Lights shine in every corner, traffic hums even after midnight, and people wander the streets with the illusion of safety. But behind the comfort of neon signs and crowded avenues, some stories suggest that the darkness hides something far older, far more primal. In this tale, we will dive into the chilling accounts of citizens who swear they saw werewolves not in forests or lonely villages, but in the heart of a modern city. It started with whispers on online forums, anonymous posts describing unsettling encounters. A woman claimed she had seen a towering figure sprinting across a rooftop at 3 in the morning. A taxi driver insisted that something with glowing eyes crossed the street in front of his car and left claw marks in the asphalt. At first, people laughed. Urban legends adapted to the digital age, yet the number of testimonies grew too much to ignore. The first widely reported incident took place near the old industrial district. Abandoned warehouses stretched like skeletons against the skyline, graffiti covering rusted doors, broken glass glittering on the ground. One night, a group of friends sneaked inside, looking for thrills and a place to drink. They expected silence, maybe rats or stray dogs. What they found instead froze their blood. According to their testimony, they heard heavy breathing echoing through the corridors before they saw anything. Then, 2 yellow eyes pierced the dark, too high to belong to a dog. The creature stepped into the dim moonlight filtering through the shattered roof, massive, fur bristling, with long arms ending in claws that scratched the metal walls. They ran, but not before one of them looked back and swore he saw the beast stand upright, sniffing the air like a predator tasting their fear. When the police investigated, they found deep gouges on the walls and fresh footprints in the dust. But the prints were strange, too large for a man, too elongated for a wolf. The case was dismissed as vandalism and the hysteria of drunk teenagers. Yet photos circulated online, fueling speculation. Days later, a nurse returning from a late shift described a similar figure following her along a deserted avenue. She said its footsteps were heavy but fast, as if it could close the distance in seconds. She ducked into a 24-hour store, trembling, and begged the clerk to lock the door. When they peered outside, the street was empty, but claw marks appeared on the glass as if something had tested its strength against the barrier. By then, the legend had escaped the shadows. Local newspapers ran headlines like, "Beast on the Loose? Strange sightings in downtown?" Some mocked, others warned. And in the middle of skepticism, fear settled. People started avoiding certain streets after dark, and security cameras pointed to alleys where strange shapes flickered for a split second before vanishing. The most chilling part was the diversity of the witnesses. Taxi drivers, doctors, students, elderly couples. None of them connected, all describing the same towering figure with eyes that glowed in the dark. Researchers of folklore pointed out that werewolf legends are usually tied to rural landscapes, full moons, and remote villages. But what if the curse adapted? What if the beast found shelter in the chaos of urban jungles, blending into the anonymity of the city? A journalist named Ricardo decided to investigate. He armed himself with a camera and audio recorder, determined to separate fact from fiction. For weeks he wandered the hot zones of sightings, the industrial ruins, the subway tunnels, the silent parks after midnight. Nothing happened. Until one night. Ricardo recorded a deep growl echoing through the tunnel walls beneath the old station. He described in his notes how the sound was not mechanical or human. It vibrated in his chest like the roar of something massive. Moments later, his camera caught 2 orbs of light in the dark. The footage ends abruptly with a thud, the camera falling sideways. When police found it, the lens was cracked, smeared with blood. Ricardo was never seen again. This disappearance ignited panic. Demonstrations demanded more street patrols, while others insisted the government was hiding the truth. Online, theories bloomed. Genetic experiments gone wrong, escaped military projects, or supernatural curses hidden beneath the city's foundations. The reality, however, was darker. Witnesses claimed the sightings became more frequent, not less. Construction workers in high-rise buildings swore they saw a hairy figure leap between rooftops. Joggers in the park stopped running after dusk, whispering about growls that seemed to follow them through the trees. And then came the first attack. A man was found near the river, his body torn as if by claws. At first, authorities blamed stray dogs, but the forensic report revealed the wounds were too precise, too deep, as if inflicted by a creature with strength far beyond natural animals. The victim's blood was splattered across a 10-meter radius, and yet there were no human footprints leading away, only elongated impressions like paws stretched unnaturally wide. From that night, curfews were whispered about. Not official, but understood. Shops closed earlier, bars emptied before midnight, and the city felt as if it held its breath. The police increased patrols, but strangely, many officers refused to speak publicly about what they found. Some even quit their jobs, claiming they could not fight what wasn't human. Among the citizens, survivors began to share their stories in hushed tones. A delivery driver recounted how he saw a shape chase his motorcycle at impossible speed, almost keeping up until he burst onto a crowded avenue. A homeless man swore he saw two creatures fighting in an alley, their snarls shaking the air before both vanished into the sewers. What terrified people most was the idea that these were not isolated incidents. If one werewolf stalked the city, it was dangerous enough. But if there were more, packs hidden in plain sight, the city itself was no longer safe. Legends say werewolves are cursed men, condemned to transform under the moonlight. But in these urban sightings, transformations did not follow the lunar calendar. Some nights were moonless and still the beasts appeared. The curse seemed liberated from nature, feeding instead on the restless energy of the metropolis. One of the strangest reports came from a subway operator. He claimed that while driving the last train of the night, the lights flickered off in a tunnel, and he saw a hulking shape running parallel to the train in the dark. Its speed matched the train's, claws scraping the walls, sparks flying. Passengers screamed as shadows pressed against the windows. When the lights came back, nothing remained but deep scratches etched into the tunnel bricks. The city council dismissed his account, but the operator refused to work nights ever again. He left behind his uniform, still smelling of smoke and iron, and vanished into the countryside. By then, online communities began calling the creature the Midnight Wolf. Hashtags trended, videos circulated, and skeptics clashed with believers. But in the heart of the city, fear spread quietly. Parents kept children indoors, couples avoided late walks, and curfews became an unspoken law. What set these urban werewolves apart from legends was their intelligence. Survivors insisted the beasts stalked prey methodically. They didn't attack crowds. They chose the isolated, the vulnerable, the ones who walked alone. Their presence was a reminder that no matter how civilized the city appeared, the primal hunter still ruled the dark. The government issued statements urging calm, but whistleblowers hinted that specialized units were deployed in secret. Witnesses reported helicopters circling the industrial zone at night, and strange trucks unloading equipment near the river. Some even swore they heard gunfire echoing across the skyline, but if there was a battle, the city was never told. More chilling were the accounts from hospital staff. An anonymous nurse described a patient brought in with massive claw wounds. His body trembled, his eyes glowed faintly, and he growled in a language no one understood. Before doctors could stabilize him, he vanished from his bed. Restraints snapped like twigs. Security cameras caught only static in the moment of his escape. Was he turning? Was he already one of them? The question remained unanswered, fueling the terror further. As weeks turned into months, the werewolf legends merged into daily life. The city adapted. Silver jewelry sold out in stores. Wolf charms hung from car mirrors, and dog whistles were carried in purses as talismans. The line between superstition and survival blurred. Yet, the more people tried to shield themselves, the bolder the creatures became. Sightings shifted from alleys to main avenues, from ruins to shopping districts. One viral video showed a massive silhouette reflected on skyscraper glass pacing along the rooftop. Another clip captured a howl that shattered car alarms across an entire block. Scholars of folklore whispered about an ancient prophecy that when men built towers of glass and light, the wolves of the old world would walk among them again, feeding on human arrogance. Whether coincidence or curse, the city now lived in its shadow. The breaking point came during a festival. Crowds filled the streets, Fireworks painted the sky, and for a moment, people believed they were safe. Then, the howls began. At first mistaken for celebratory noise until the screams drowned the music. Panic erupted as a massive beast leapt from a rooftop into the crowd, scattering people like leaves. Witnesses described glowing eyes, fangs dripping, claws tearing through barriers as if they were paper. Police opened fire, but bullets seemed to slow it only briefly. The beast roared, knocked down vehicles, and disappeared into the chaos. Dozens were injured, and at least 7 people vanished without a trace. The festival became forever remembered as the Night of the Wolves. From that moment, denial was no longer possible. Even the skeptics fell silent. The city was forced to accept the impossible. Werewolves walked among skyscrapers. With fear dominating every corner, an underground movement emerged. Hunters armed with silver blades, ancient rituals, and desperation took to the streets. Some claimed to succeed, returning with bloodied trophies, but others never came back. Legends say that once a city accepts its monsters, it becomes a battlefield between human and beast. And in this city, the war had just begun. Every night, howls echo through the skyline. Shadows leap between rooftops, and people whisper in fear that no matter how bright the lights, darkness still belongs to the wolves. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to The Last Whisper, leave your like, and turn on the bell so you never miss the next chilling video.